Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. Prime Newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the Cameroon he wishes to see in 2020, a Cameroon where the father will no longer flog the child for the simple fact that he was crying over the fact that his own share of the food has not been given to him. A Cameroon where children will no longer need to take up arms or use violence to make their voices heard. A Cameroon where some will not eat and wipe their hands on the heads of others. He is an outstanding living figure in the political history of Cameroon's transition from colonialism to independence. His Royal Majesty for Sokuju Chenju II of Bamenju in the west region of the Republic of Cameroon. We have details in this newscast. And atrocities continue to be committed in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. The last occurred in the Muyuka subdivision, southwest region of the country, where the divisional offices premises or building was set ablaze last night. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. We begin with news concerning the President of the Republic of Cameroon's address to the nation 31st December 2019. And following that speech of President Paul Biya, reactions have been raining on social media. Many of the social media users are criticizing statements made by the President of the Republic with regards to the Anglophone crisis. Many of them are criticizing what the President of the Republic said with regards to the separatist fighters. The fact that he said if they persist on the wrong way, according to him, the forces of security and defense will fight them. Details in this report by Innocent.
After the head of state addressed the nation, Cameroonians rose to the social media where they emptied their thoughts principally on the way the Anglophone crisis was addressed. President Biya's statement to exterminate those he terms terrorists who have refused to lay down arms attracted a wide range of reactions from Cameroonians. Dina Eric thinks he would have encouraged the fighters with the special status and ensure its immediate implementation instead of threatening to fight them. They are already fighting, and I don't know how he intends fighting them again. I noticed in his speech he is not out for peace. Yemili Fabrizio says this is just an important proof to show that the so-called major national dialogue was only a camouflage to convince the international community. The government of Cameroon can solve the crisis, but is not willing to do so. I see no interest jubilating about the so-called special status when killings and promises for more bloodshed intensify. To Tefang Augustine, the president does not see the country going down, as was prophesied by a former MP, Honorable Weber. Bruno Tebek writes, every year, it's let's put hands together for a better tomorrow, yet nothing changes except killings. According to Don Clarkson, President Paul Biya has been addressing the nation traditionally each December 31st since he was born. When you visit a beehive for honey, you won't go without attacks from bees. Whatever be the case, the result is you must have the honey. That is determination and perseverance. Ernestine Muma thinks even Pharaoh had no choice than to free the Israelites when the time was right. This speech is nothing because God shall save those in bondage. Pray to God so that the year 2020 does not fade out without solution to the Anglophone crisis. Praising President Paul Biya, Muhammad Mustafa Saleh Nagako says the leadership has been given the head of state by God. So, dear Cameroonians, be happy with what God has chosen for you, because He knows best what is good for you. He ended by writing, "Long live President Paul Biya."
And His Royal Majesty Fu Sokuju Chenju II of Bamenju in the West region of the Republic of Cameroon, one of the living outstanding figures in the history of Cameroon's transition from colonialism to independence, equally published a lengthy letter on the social media on the Cameroon that he wants to see in 2020. And among other things, he said he wants to see a Cameroon where the father will no longer flog a child for the fact that the child is crying over the simple fact that his own share of the food was not given to him. A Cameroon where children will no longer need to take up arms or use violence to make their voices heard. A Cameroon where some will not eat and wipe their heads or their hands on others' heads. And of course, we have details on that with Hemin Iluga in this report.
It's a routine. New Year often comes along with resolutions, at times with evaluations, but quite often with wishes. Having Cameroon enormously challenged with the socio-political upheavals these last years, even traditional rulers have caught a perception of what they wish for Cameroon this 2020. Peace. It runs on almost every lips. His Majesty Sokuju of Bamenju in the West region has made a pertinent release on the social media. As well spelled in his text, he desires a Cameroon which won't have persons abuse others, a Cameroon which won't see its citizens struggle to make ends meet, a Cameroon which some privileged won't mishandle state phones, a Cameroon which will be intertribal tolerant, which should have leaders with conscience, who are conscious and who could lead the masses without violence, where national gains is shared equitably with patriotic citizens, where a father shouldn't beat a child for requesting his own share of his meal, but should promise the child a share during the next meal. A Cameroon with politicians as adversaries and not enemies, with traditional rulers who will respect their ancestral duties and not dive into politics, with workers who could freely retire after 50, 40, and 30 years of service, with tolerance and with spirit of acceptance in citizens who could pardon one another. This is the Cameroon wished by His Majesty Sokuju of Bamenju in the West region this 2020 for Cameroon.
And the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon continue recording atrocities, while government and the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, remained bent on the military option to put an end to separatist activities. The last incident occurred in the Muyuka subdivision, southwest region of the country last night, where the divisional office was set ablaze, and this after a gun battle between pro-independence fighters and elements of the National Armed Forces. And sporadic gunshots characterized the crossover from 2019 into 2020 in the northwest regional capital, Bamenda. And Bustela went around town and compiled this report.
The city of Bamenda witnessed an unusual crossover night, a time when the old year fades out and the new fades in. Usually in Bamenda, churches would organize special services during which they sing in thanksgiving into the new year, while others prefer crossing over with family and friends, either at home or in bars. This year, most special services closed before 7 p.m. while others extended to the morning. The Njan choir of the Presbyterian Church Tamulung, for obvious reasons, crossed over before midnight at the residence of one of their members, Senator Regina Mundi.
During the situation of the town now, We don't be for here till midnight. First time, we were supposed to be here at 6 o'clock, even closer, 12 o'clock for night. But now, after 6 o'clock, it's very delicate for person for work inside that town.
A moment they spent in sharing the word of God and praying for God's intervention in Cameroon.
The more you sing, the happier you are. And they've talked about service to the Lord. And everybody is moving along, serving the Lord. As long as we know that we are serving God, we would know how to behave. We'll know how to talk to each other. We'll know how to treat each other. That is a very powerful message to the nation at this particular moment. So this message that they have given to me today is a very, very strong message. That is a message of love, a message of living together, a message of friendship, a message of peace.
The effervescence at midnight was not as usual, but diehards braved the quiet night, characterized by sporadic gunshots in some neighborhoods for fireworks. And people shout from their homes, telling everyone they made it to 2020.
And here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, the crossover night was marked by a series of incidents, accidents, and acts of theft in the town of Douala in different parts of the country's economic capitals. Manjik and Gabriel moved around town on that night with the police officers who were patrolling the town, and this is his report.
Heading towards Bonaberi at the Wuri Bridge, we met with the first incident between two commercial motorcycle riders. One already drunk and driving recklessly on the road that almost caused an accident. This caused a quarrel between the two. The intervention of the 418 patrol leader calmed down tempers. The Army Rescue Unit announced the new year in a grand style.
Happy New Year, Ambassador. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. We are very happy and we thank God for this new year. We are very happy. I wish everybody, all the firefighters, our chiefs, the head of state, head of army, I wish them a very prosperous and happy 2020.
After midnight, activities in Cameroon economic capital changed. First, a fire incident broke out at the Nkululu market where 6 stores were attacked by flames. The timely intervention of the Army Rescue Unit stopped the inferno from spreading to other business places. The ever-vigilant forces of law and order also caught up with some boys who were about making away with 2 sewing machines that were from the stores that flames had attacked at Belavin Dokoti. It was a young man who was arrested after it was alleged he stole a mobile telephone and added to it had booted a gendarme officer in a civilian attire. But the presumed phone thief says he is innocent. The alleged phone thief was later taken to the 11th District Police Station, from where the patrol team passed through the industrial zone at Logbaba, only to meet with an accident along the road involving a private car and a commercial motorcycle rider. The owner of the car, guilty of the crime he committed, had to hide himself, but some unknown boys searched and found him until he was given snake beatings, while the boys profited from the incident to make away with some car documents and money. I have just realized that my phone, national identity card, bank card, and my card documents are no longer with me. It was thanks to the population that came out, which also made it possible for the car not to be stolen by the said boys who were already pulling away the car. The suspects were all ferried to the 8th District Police Station in Dakar. The 408 patrol team also made a sudden stopover at the Ange Raphael neighborhood, where a security officer in civilian attire was also attacked by a thief. But the alleged thief was also arrested, while the security officer who had wounds was rushed to the hospital. Another incident which occurred on January 1 was the accident at St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral in Accra, where a vehicle, after destroying items sold by some business persons in front of the church, bashed a taxi before finally finding itself at the walls of the Mbappé Stadium. The car that was driven by a young lady seemingly drunk injured at least 2 persons. The young lady was taken straight away to the police station. As compared to other years, the casualties that were recorded as 2019 gave way to 2020 in Douala's economic capital were limited.
The search for 8 foreign crew members of a ship abducted in Limbe in the southwest region of Cameroon continued. They were abducted by unidentified gunmen. Our correspondent Davidson Maimo files in details from Limbe.
This is not an action movie, but a reality. We are at the Nkolmondo neighborhood under the Douala 1 subdivision. Security forces are in search of 2 alleged bandits who have been terrorizing the inhabitants of the neighborhood. Under the leadership of Commissioner Mefiri, after a lengthy search, the 2 alleged bandits are picked up. One of the 3 guys who were arrested is the most dangerous, as he has been disturbing the peace of this locality. When it's 5 a.m., they begin attacking us. He is an ex-convict. In a search which later took place in their hideout, the security forces discovered marijuana, machetes, and benches belonging to a primary school. The arrest of these 2 alleged bandits came after one of the members of the group was shot earlier at about 4 a.m. Thursday after attempting to steal from a woman with a machetes. He has promised to collaborate with the security forces in the investigation. In front of the authority, I will begin by asking for pardon. I will tell them all what they need to know. I will also need help so that all of those who kept me in this situation will be arrested. Meanwhile, one of his friends refuted allegations of him being a thief. I don't know what to see because it was in my sleep I was woken up, and later I saw handcuffs on my hands. But accepted smoking marijuana that was discovered in the hideout. It's marijuana. I actually smoke it. I can't refuse that. But I'm not a dangerous element in the neighborhood. The population here can testify that. The joint operation involving the public security forces of Nkolmondo and those of the Special Intervention Unit is part of the operation put in place by the Regional Delegate of Public Security for the Littoral Region, as inhabitants enjoyed end-of-year festivities.
Suite aux informations recueillies sur le terrain,
due to the information we got from the field and with orders from the regional delegate of national security, we effectively descended to the field with the help of the elements of the Special Intervention Unit, and we arrested these guys with machetes about attacking some inhabitants early this morning. We caught them with marijuana.
Aux environs de 4h35 du matin. Grâce donc à la prompte réaction du GMI, on a pu mettre la main sur ces individus avec du chanvre.
With the 3 alleged bandits arrested, the population are now breathing a sigh of relief while hoping that justice will take its course and others who are on the run will be apprehended.
Smanji Kangibe reporting there on 3 alleged bandits arrested by police officers in the town of Douala. Now back to Limbe in the southwest region of the country, where 8 foreign members of the crew of a ship are still being, their whereabouts remains unknown till now. The search for them continues. They were abducted in that part of the town by unidentified gunmen.
Sources say the men of the underworld came with a small flight boat, or better still, high-speed boat, used a ladder to mount on the ship before kidnapping 8 of the ship crew members and 1 wounded, who was later rushed to the Douala Referral Hospital from the Sonora Health Unit. 5 of those kidnapped are Greece nationals, 1 Ukrainian and 2 Philippine, all foreign nationals. The ship that was stationed some few kilometers into the sea from the anchor post of Sonora, sources say, came to deliver petroleum product to Sonora. A crisis meeting to this effect took place at Sonora, bringing together top security officials and the Southwest administration, with the official report still awaited. We are told the whereabouts of those kidnapped is still not known, and the kidnappers have not made any call or demand of ransom. The situation saw the entire Navy from Douala and Limbe, including the special unit of the elite force specialized in maritime affairs known as B-SOFAs, searching and combing the entire waters and the creeks right up to Bakassi Peninsula. The incident has left many wondering of such an attack within an area which is heavily protected, with speculations of the possibility of the involvement of Cameroonians in the act.
And the government of the Republic of Cameroon continues implementing its strategy to put an end to the separatist activities in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, notably through the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee led by Fayengo Francis. A delegation of top officials of the Republic recently launched the reintegration of the ex-fighters in Bamenda. Stella reports.
Before being captured by elements of the defense forces in Bidikum, 18-year-old Doris Senor tells me she has been a fighter for 18 months. Joblessness, she says, took her to the bush. She is not alone. Clinton Lukon from Kumbu stopped schooling at the beginning of the crisis and later picked up arms against the state of Cameroon.
I was fighting for revenge because in the bush there are 4 types. There are people that fight for what they believe for. There are people that fight for revenge. There are people that just that are thieves. They are there just to harass people, kidnap people, ask money for ransom. And there are people that are there because they see that people are in the bush. They want to hold gun. So with me, I was there for revenge.
Like Doris and Clinton, 19-year-old Michael Fonuri left his master's shop for the bush.
Before one joined the Amber team, they became, we say, when we fight the team, so when we go in, they will settle, we will get plenty things them where we do so on, so yeah, but we last discover say thing where they tell we, no when I think where it happen.
These teenagers believed after their experiences that they were misled. Their struggles to leave the various camps was as deadly as the missions they carried out.
People surrender and not be like for the warming for day again. So when you there, they already get the belief say if he surrender, something not there we go hard to surrender.
I surrendered. I left by myself from Kumbu. I trekked from Kumbu to Bamensing before somebody left Bamenda town to come and help me from when I'm already climbing the Sabga hill.
These three are amongst the 62 former separatist fighters at the Northwest Center for Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration. Opened on December 27, 2018, the center has come a long way, this not without challenges.
The ex-fighters have a lot of energy in them, as you see, and this high energy makes them to be very mobile and restless, and so they move in and out of the center rampantly. We are in dire need of a fence around the center so that we can have a controllable gate which will check or regulate the movement of persons in and out of the center. In the vulnerable health condition of our ex-fighters, we need a steady ambulance on the center and some stable paramedical staff to handle the health problems of our children.
In the days ahead, some of the former fighters will be reintegrated, says Francis Bonin, representing PM John Good in the ceremony to launch the reintegration process in Bamenda.
The first batch of this center is expected to become responsible, hardworking citizens ready to participate in the development efforts of our country, Cameroon.
But these fighters, unfortunately left stranded by the Anglophone crisis, have other choices if they are left to choose.
I wanted to continue my school as a student because of this.
The center currently has 7 females, 55 males and a 2-year-old baby. Within the space, the center's coordinator, Sixtus Gapsa, says needs more equipment and needs them urgently.
And 167 military officers have been raised to higher ranks in Limbe, in the southwest region of Cameroon. They received epaulets corresponding to their new ranks yesterday, as Davidson Maimo reports.
It is the traditional military rituals performed on Lieutenant Colonel Sone Emmanuel, Naval Base Commander in Limbe, who doubles as a garrison commander, promoted to the rank of a full colonel and upgraded to Navy Captain.
After thanking God, I would like to thank my hierarchy who have always trusted in me and enabled me to express myself enough to be rewarded on this very special day. So I also want to use this opportunity to thank the strong support base I have around me. I'm talking about family, friends, colleagues, and those young soldiers out there who stand the watch, who contribute for the teamwork that I'm being honored with today.
Lieutenant Colonel Nang Zenge Roger of the Elite Force was equally recognized in his hard work and also promoted to a full colonel.
What I'd like to say to those who are younger than me, is to work hard.
A total of 13 senior military officers promoted in their different ranks and files. Also, some 152 sub-officers from the different armed forces were equally promoted in their different ranks and files, including 2 known sub-officers, giving a total of 167 in numbers, decorated with epaulettes of different ranks.
What you are doing reflects that we made what comes today. So we are just thanking our hierarchy and our families that have supported us to be where we are.
Because it's a new start, you have to continue, work hardly, following discipline and so on and so on.
Some 2 officers were equally awarded with medals of different grade for their services to the nation. The event, presided at by the Senior Divisional Officer for FACO, Emmanuel Ngamba Lodu, brought together the administration, political, religious and traditional authorities and was graced with the traditional military march past.
Thanks for staying with us, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks for staying with us in Talking Point. Guest in this edition of the news is a civil society leader, Walang Abang. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Babila, for inviting me. So it's a pleasure.
In the report that we just heard concerning some 167 officers of the military raised to higher ranks, one of them was your classmate. What do you think?
Yes, that's
seeing him being raised to
Colonel Obi Fidelis. He's a medical doctor. He's in Yaoundé. I want to, use your platform to say congratulations to him. He's a very serious military guy.
Who is doing his job?
He's doing his job really well, professionally. Yep.
All right, as the President of the Republic said.
As the President of the Republic said.
All right. Let's talk about this statement made by the traditional leader of Bamenju in the west region of Cameroon for Sokoju Chenjo II, in which he said that he is looking forward. He wishes to see a Cameroon in 2020 where fathers will not have to beat their children who cry because they have not received their own share of the food. And he goes further to say a Cameroon where children will not need to take up arms or use violence to make their grievances heard or to speak out their grievances. A Cameroon where some will not eat and wipe their hands on others' heads. What's your take on all of this?
I think His Royal Majesty was very eloquent with his opinion. I've watched him once in a program that where you interviewed La Vérité en Face. He's very eloquent in his beliefs, in his philosophies about Cameroon, because he has lived, through the various epochs, from colonialism through independence till now, when we're still living in some kind of dark moment in the history of Cameroon. I'm talking about the Anglophone crisis. I think he's sufficiently clear about the fact that the handling of the crisis has been a little problematic. That's on the one side. On the other side, he also wants to point out that picking up arms to make certain specific demands from the state is also very, very dangerous. It puts the lives of many people at risk, and that's what is happening today in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon. So,
well, but he says that he's looking forward to see a Cameroon where that will no longer be happening. An indication that there is something that has to be done by maybe the government to ensure that we do not get there.
Well, if His Royal Majesty is coming out at this moment with such a statement, it is because the civil society in Cameroon, the church, the opposition, and many authoritative voices have raised concerns about the use of the military in solving the crisis in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. And for about 3 years now, or just a little above 3 years, the military has been actively on the field and the war has still not stopped. Meaning that those who clamor for an end to the military solution are right. Because if the military solution, if it was viable, then the conflict would have ended by now. I want to say something, that I said, and we should develop it a little. I'm saying something, and I really wish that we understand this as Cameroonian. There is a kind of game they call the infinite game. Please permit me to explain so that...
Go ahead.
Yes. An infinite game is a game where all the actors are not known. And in this kind of a game, it is difficult to determine who is winner and who is loser. In fact, it can continue for the next 20 years. What happens in an infinite game is that when actors get tired, they get out of the scene, but new ones are coming in. Now, the government of Cameroon, in its right, wants to, preserve the integrity of the country. The question is, are they aware that there are people who are fighting just for what they believe? It means that they don't care. If they die, they go out of the scene, other people come in, and this thing continues. I think that I'll join my voice to the voices of the civil society, to the international community, and the religious organizations in Cameroon and abroad, to say that the military solution may not work anytime soon, because it is an infinite game. It is one in which if you kill 20 people now, Perhaps the next day, because of fury, because of anger, 30 more people joined the fight. And we have discovered a situation where people are making money now. You know, kidnapping, theft, and all the like.
The head of state has been saying civilians carrying guns in the northwest and the southwest regions come out of the bushes. You will be forgiven. You will be received in the demobilization, that is the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration committee of Fayengo Francis. You will be reintegrated into the society. Nothing will happen to you. You will be well treated. And till today, the head of state indicated again in his end-of-year address to the nation that if some persist on the wrong way, persist on fighting for the restoration of the independence of the former Southern Cameroons, that is to divide Cameroon, there will be no other option left but to fight them with the military.
Well, Mr. Babila, let me say this very clearly. I think when this DDR stuff started, I was a little skeptical because I'm of the civil society. I was asking, how will the security of those ex-fighters be guaranteed? But this long, I've seen how they have gone. I mean, there was an excerpt of the news there about the DDR, and I've heard people testify. I believe absolutely in the security of those people. If they come out of the bushes and join, you know, their counterparts who are already there, I believe that they will be safe. They will get some kind of trade to do and integrate the society like normal human beings. But that is not the solution now, because it is failing. It's not, I mean, although I watched the Cardinal say many of them are coming out, he said they are coming out not because of the, anyway, he said they are coming out because they lack what to eat. So my interpretation and the interpretation of many Cameroonians is that they are not coming out because of military might. So I think that the government should step it up a little. What is it that still keeps them there? They still believe in something. I mean, in leadership, the greatest achievements in leadership have been, you know, gotten from belief, little belief system. When people believe absolutely in something, they are prepared to die for that. So how can you transform their mindset? I think that, you know, we as Cameroonians should sit down and look at that again. These just bring in some kind of a way the weaknesses of the solutions that we are putting into place right now as Cameroonians. Because I don't want to blame only leadership. I mean, all of us are there. There are so many people who go on platforms like this and defend the system and say the system stands supreme, the system can prevail, you know, the solution is the best. So we have a collective responsibility as Cameroonians to sit and look at ourselves in the eyes and ask, given the outcome, are the solutions that we are implementing bearing any fruit? I'll give you a simple example. The Commission for Bilingualism is there, it's out there working. But we should ask ourselves a very simple question. Has the military adopted English? Has the police adopted English language as equal language, you know, to French? I don't know the answer to that. Cameroonians best know how to answer the question. So I think there are some shortcomings. Let's not be cosmetic in our solutions. That is my role as a civil society actor.
And some critics think that what is being qualified or today as a war, another war declaration on Anglophones was a statement that came from somebody who finds himself in a very tight corner, pushed to the wall, having no other option but to respond with the same force that is coming from the opposite direction. That is referring to the struggle to end the separatist activities. And the head of state is persisting, saying that, okay, if I've been using diplomacy, if I've been using the way of peace to say that we should end this thing, come out, let us talk, come out, let us reintegrate you into the society, and you don't want that way, all right, we go the other way.
I think that I'll use the statement of Mr. Tibo Nagy to answer this question. Mr. Tibo Nagy, the Secretary of State for African Affairs in the United States of America. It is true we are not borrowing from them, but you know, some of these voices are also authoritative. When they talk in the international scene, it makes an impact. Mr. Tibo Nagy did a report to the House Committee in the United States, and he said that there are certain people who are surrounding and advising the head of states in Cameroon who tell him that the military solution can have a way out. It means that they are convincing or they are persuading him to believe that the military can win this war. And he concludes by saying that the military, in his opinion, cannot win this war. So I don't think, you know, the head of state has a posture where he is, and he has collaborators who advise him. Their posture is one of repressive. When such a thing comes up, it's good to go on with force. I want to ascertain that it is the duty of a head of state to be firm, but leadership also involves, you know, sitting with people and discussing genuinely, not with a hidden agenda, not because you want your own agenda to pass. When you sit with people to discuss genuinely, it means that you are ready to make concessions, and those people too, they are ready to make concessions. Cardinal Tumi said it clearly in his report. He said about 70% of Anglophones, in a study that was carried out at that time, about 2 years ago, revealed that they wanted secession. So why not sit down with them and discuss genuinely, get all the reasons why they want secession? I think it is a little cosmetic.
Are you saying that the President of the Republic of Cameroon should sit down on the same table with the separatist leaders, Sisiku and the others, and discuss and negotiate over this issue in order to find a way out? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that all the actors of this Anglophone crisis, all of them, none should be neglected. This is a crisis that concerns the integrity of a country. And trust me, in an infinite game, I've said it is not possible to to identify a winner. This thing could also succeed. It may be failing now because the actors on the other side do not have the resources. But when the game started, permit me to call it that way, when the game started, the country was there. The entire security system of Cameroon was there. You and I, you are a journalist, I'm civil society, we were there. And it started. People picked up arms against the state. Okay? If it reached that level, it means that if we are not careful, it could go to another level. We are not praying for that. But we're saying that if care is not taken in the management of the crisis, the way it is supposed to be done duly by parties concerned, then it may go to another level. So yes, to answer your question, every person involved in this crisis is a Cameroonian. And since the head of state, we consider him as the number one Cameroonian, as the father, like His Royal Majesty the Founder of Bamenju says, the father should call his children together and sit with them. Otherwise, he's not the father. If you cannot sit with your children and discuss.
All right. Well, and Richard, the father should call his children and sit with them together and discuss the issues affecting the family.
Very important.
Thanks for your time.
It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.